Hey, welcome back to another episode of TV. I'm Tony J. If you're new here, hit the like, subscribe, click the notification bells for more future videos coming up down the pipeline. So, I wanted to jump into another topic that has been near and dear to my heart for a while now. A few days ago, I almost lost my Instagram account, and there's this new thing going around social media about the issue of flagging people's accounts for things that they post online. And I had a situation 2 days ago where I had an issue on Instagram, and I was posting something in the comment box, and 2 days later I got flagged for hate symbols and hate symbolism, whatever that means. But these social media companies right now, they're starting this issue of flagging anything a person posts that might be objectionable. And this whole new thing with Facebook and this whole new company restructuring with Facebook right now, which I'm going to jump into later on down the pipeline. Facebook has kind of restructured their profiles in their company based on what they feel they need to do in order to basically shift the narrative away from the controversy of what has happened on January 6th to now, okay, well, Facebook is now Meta. We're the metaverse now. So you're starting to see this restructuring right now of social media in the public eye. And the thing that I find very troubling about social media right now is, I think social media can be a blessing, and I think social media can be a curse. It's a curse in that social media can suck you into conversations and controversies that really don't have anything to do with you, but it sparks some type of emotional response, and you have this habit of either objecting or really kind of basically not having civil dialogue with the people that you engage with on this platform. And sometimes when you get sucked into those conversations, they could go completely left, and if you say something, then it's constituted as bullying. One of the issues that I notice is that with social media, they started flagging comments, they started really taking down people's accounts over mere comments that you post in like a group or a public sphere. I've had my Facebook account flagged 3 times and have been on restricted access for 3 or 4 days. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I've had to dispute comments that I've said, even comments that have been taken out of context. And this is where I go with this thing. Certain comments that are flagged can get taken completely out of context, and then they restrict your account or they delete your account altogether. And it's kind of gotten to a point where it's become a little bit more sensitive, but at the same time, if you're a billion-dollar corporation, what sense does it make for you to police other people's speech? on these platforms. You could be $1 million company, but you represent the public and the interests of the people. And this is what I was talking about with social media companies. Just because you get to you get first you get protection from First Amendment rights doesn't necessarily mean that you could police anybody else's speech, because thing about it, you're not a private company. Once you become a publicly traded company, you're beholden to the public interest. And I think a lot of people don't understand this about the media business. There's a profit interest, and then there's a public interest. And I think a lot of social media companies right now, they're making billions of dollars off of other people's creation, and content creators have no say in what happens on these platforms. And one in particular with, of course, YouTube. And what I've seen also with YouTube is that they've started, they'll move the algorithms, and where your stuff won't get noticed, or your stuff will get completely shadow banned or completely suppressed, because people, they don't find the content to be interesting. And even though I post on this platform, what I find very troubling is that no content creator has any power over the fact that this is a very public platform, but you don't get to, there are so many restrictions for content creators that it strains the creative process for a lot of people. And I think we're coming into a new dynamic in social media generation, where that the government is kind of calling into question, okay, what interests do corporations represent to the public? If you're a social media company, I believe personally that you're a public entity. You're not a private corporation, because other people use your platform to go on and actually post quality content. Now, should there be some censorship to a certain extent? Well, that should be left up to the person that's viewing the content. So I honestly believe that if you make a company that is about allowing people to have a voice on your platform, but you tell them, well, you can't do this or you can't do that, or we're going to flag your video because some music was in the background and it's a copyright claim on that, well, that becomes a very big problem, because now you're trying to minimize the quality of somebody's content. And then those content creators say, well, I don't want to be on this platform anymore, so I'm going to take my videos and place them at other places. But people should be able to have access to that content and actually engage with that content. And I think with Facebook right now being the platform that they are, they like to police certain people, but yet they're engaging in a process where they're riling people up for likes, and they're riling people up and dividing the country in a way that we have never seen before. Facebook used to be this company with a conscience. Now the company doesn't have a conscience. Platforms like YouTube and Twitter and Instagram, they're engaging in what I call psychological warfare on content creators and just everyday people, because they're a private corporation, yet they're a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. So most of their money comes from the public. So if you're a public entity, you're not a private, you cease to be a private corporation then. So if you're a publicly traded company, then shouldn't a democratic system be put in place to where more content creators have power over the content that they create? That's one of the biggest questions. I think a lot of content creators have something good out there, but they're not able to express it, and they're not able to make the type of money that they truly want from their platform because there's a private corporation that has taken over the interests of that company and said, well, we don't want these things on our platform, or if we continue to represent you and put money into your company, these things have to change. And then it's like there's a big corporation that's pointing a gun at a little corporation and saying, well, either you do this or we're going to pull funding from your company. And one of the biggest problems is now that Facebook and all these other media companies have morphed into something of an antitrust conglomerate. There has to be a line drawn with how we see social media companies. Biggest problem is that there is a very big lack of innovation in social media right now, and I think in some ways the government should get involved and break up Instagram, break up Twitter and YouTube into small companies to put balance back into the monopoly that they've gained in the media sphere. And I think now is the time that that should happen. Because for me personally, what I'm seeing with Instagram, what I'm seeing with Facebook and YouTube is that when content creators post things on their channel, they get flagged. I've posted historical content on my channel. I've gotten an age restriction over something simple as talking about 9/11. I've had to take that video down. I've had to post that video back up. And then that video automatically gets slapped with an age restriction, which I'll never understand because it's historical content and it's talking about a moment in history where kids should actually have access to it and actually create some type of dialogue around it. But then there's this stuff like that where age restrictions get put in place where your content won't go very far, or your content will only get sourced out to certain viewers. And social media right now is kind of like it's kind of like a vortex in a sense where people will engage in it, and then it will suck you in to where the content might provoke some type of emotional response. And over the last couple of days, I've started to notice that with my interactions on Instagram. Well, I don't post that much on Instagram too much, but at the same token, I notice where if I say something, it gets flagged, or it gets that language gets taken out of context, and then they restrict your account, or they shut your account or disable your account for a couple of days to where you can't post anything. And that's what's so sad about this state of affairs, that it takes a minimal amount of sensitivity to really take down somebody's post or take down somebody's account. And I think in a lot of ways that needs to change. I think that needs to completely, there has to be some type of rules. There has to be some type of regulation by the American government to where they say, look, you can't do this on the platform. You have to protect people's free speech. And you have to allow people to engage in a democratic exchange. of views and viewpoints, whether they're civil or uncivil. People should have access to that, and people should be able to say, well, if I don't like that, then I could flag it myself. I don't have to allow that into my space because I don't agree with it. But now it's a big, like I said, with these big corporations, they're trying to tell you what you can't have access to and what you can have access to, and whatever it is that is part of historical critiques or historical debates. Well, they're going to make you pay a price for it, and I think that's really very unethical. Because remember when I said in previous videos that these corporations, these big name companies are restricting your access to information. And I'm all about free information in the media and having access to that information, whether it's good or bad. And you don't get to have access to it because of who you are and because of what you post. They might disagree with it. Even though you might have a lot of followers, they can restrict those followers, and then, or they could take your account down for any reason and then completely wipe you off their platform, and then you have to start from scratch all over again. I don't think it should ever be like that. So if you want to hear more of this, if you want to be a part of F and Doc TV, I encourage you to come subscribe to my channel. I encourage you to, you know, post anything that you want. We can talk about it. We could discuss it. I'll even make a video to address your question. So that's where I'm coming from. Because I feel like now we need to have a real hard conversation about this, because your access to media is an important part of democracy and a democratic value. And I'm going to start jumping into different topics about this. So we're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to cover a lot of ground. And I hope that, this video, I hope you share this video. That's the first thing. I hope you share this video. I hope that this video reaches a lot of people. And I hope that you subscribe, because I got a lot of things to talk about. And I'm committed to bringing my subscribers some engaging content, some engaging discussions about media, about politics and propaganda, and the issue with big media and big media companies and big media corporations that want to shut out the voice of the American people and of American democracy. And I feel like right now our democracy is in peril right now, because corporations have now shut out content creators like you and me in order to create something that they find that's safe for the public. And I believe you should have a right and access to that information. And you should have a platform that's free from policing your speech, your free speech, and your First Amendment right to protected speech, whether you agree with it or not. So, again, to the new subscribers, welcome to F and Doc TV. And to my current subscribers, I got some more stuff coming down. I'm gonna try and pump out as much content as I can. So hit that like, subscribe, click the bell notification. Tell me what you think about this channel and where you think I should go with the next line of topics. I'm out.